Donald J. Trump. The name hangs in the air, a lightning rod for a nation on edge. On this January day, frigid even for Washington, D.C., he prepares to assume the mantle of president, not for the first time, but for the second, the 47th president, an unprecedented repeat performance in an America still reeling from the first act. There's a palpable tension. The city holds its breath. Trump's return to the Oval Office, a victory lap after the tumultuous events of his first term, is not merely a political transition, it's a seismic tremor, a jolting reminder that the forces he unleashed remain potent, that the divisions he exploited have only deepened. The very fabric of American democracy feels stretched thin, the seams threatening to split. Half the country rejoices, seeing in Trump a bulwark against some unseen enemy, a champion of a bygone era they long to reclaim. The other half? They look on with a mix of apprehension and disbelief. How could this be happening again? The signs of a nation cleaved in two are everywhere. The controversy over the flags flying at half-staff in honor of former President Jimmy Carter, a man Trump once derided as a loser, speaks volumes. Trump, never one to let an opportunity for grievance pass him by, seizes the moment. Democrats, he declares, are motivated not by respect for the deceased, but by a burning hatred for America itself. His words, a toxic cocktail of resentment and paranoia, find eager ears among his base. They cheer his defiance, his willingness to break norms, to trample on tradition. To them, he is a truth-teller, a fearless warrior battling against a corrupt establishment. Compromise is weakness, dissent is treachery. But for others, Trump's words are a chilling echo of the rhetoric that has poisoned American politics. They see in his pronouncements the erosion of democratic norms, the dangerous normalization of authoritarian impulses. The fear is palpable. Where does it end? The weather, fittingly, mirrors the national mood. A biting wind whips through the Capitol, sending shivers down the spines of even the most hardened political operatives. The inauguration ceremony, traditionally held on the steps of the Capitol, a symbol of American resilience and openness, has been moved indoors, to the rotunda. Officially, it's a matter of public safety. The cold, they say, poses too great a risk. But the symbolism is hard to ignore. The People's House, its doors shuttered, feels more like a fortress under siege, a stark contrast to the grand spectacle of inaugurations past. Only a select few, a carefully curated audience of loyalists and VIPs, are granted entry. The rest? They're left outside, peering through the gates, their frustration and anger a palpable presence. The message is clear. This is an inauguration for the chosen few, not for the many. Even the celebration feels subdued. A far cry from the raucous festivities that marked Trump's first inauguration. The usual pomp and circumstance is there, of course. The swearing in on the family Bible. The inaugural address, heavy with pronouncements of greatness restored and enemies vanquished. But the energy is different. The joy feels forced, the smiles strained. Perhaps it's the weight of expectation, the knowledge that the world is watching, waiting to see if the sequel can live up to the hype. Or perhaps it's something more fundamental. The realization that the divisions that have riven America run too deep, the wounds too raw, to be healed by a ceremony, no matter how grand. The parade, too, lacks its usual vibrancy. The crowds are smaller, the cheers more muted. Even the floats seem to lack their usual sparkle. The sense of unease of a nation holding its breath is palpable. Section 5. The stars align for Trump. Yet, for all the uncertainty, one thing is clear. Donald Trump is back, and he shows no signs of toning down his act. If anything, he seems emboldened, his grip on power strengthened by his acquittal in the second impeachment trial. His enemies, he proclaims, have been vanquished, their attempts to silence him thwarted. He is a man reborn, his confidence bordering on hubris. The stars, he believes, are aligned in his favor. The economy is booming, the stock market soaring. His supporters are more devoted than ever, their loyalty unshaken by the scandals and controversies that have plagued his presidency. He speaks of a new American century, one where America reclaims its rightful place as the world's dominant power. A century where his vision, his will be done. The crowd roars its approval, their cheers echoing through the halls of power. For them, the future, however uncertain, is bright. For others, it is a future fraught with peril. Section 6. The music of MAGA. The soundtrack to Trump's second coming is a curious mix of the familiar and the jarring. Carrie Underwood belts out a patriotic anthem, her voice soaring over the crowd. Lee Greenwood's God Bless the USA elicits a predictable surge of emotion. These are the anthems of Trump's America, songs that evoke a simpler time, a time of unquestioned American dominance. But then comes the Village People. Their disco beats a jarring counterpoint to the somber mood. YMCA, a song about anonymous gay encounters, blares out over the loudspeakers, its lyrics taking on a strangely subversive tone in this most conservative of settings. Is it a sign of Trump's supposed LGBTQ+ outreach, or just a bizarrely tone-deaf choice of entertainment? The answer, like so much else in Trump's world, is shrouded in ambiguity. Perhaps it's meant as a distraction, a way to deflect attention from the more troubling aspects of his presidency, or perhaps it's just Trump being Trump, a man who delights in flouting convention and keeping everyone guessing. Section 7. Echoes of January 6th. The ghost of January 6th, the day a mob of Trump supporters stormed the Capitol in a desperate attempt to overturn the election results, hangs heavy over the proceedings. The security presence is overwhelming, a constant reminder of the fragility of American democracy. Gone are the days when an inauguration was a largely celebratory affair. Now it feels more like a military operation, a show of force designed to deter any potential troublemakers. The irony is not lost on anyone. The very forces that Trump unleashed, the forces of anger and resentment, have now forced the government to take extraordinary measures to protect itself from its own people. It is a dangerous precedent, one that raises troubling questions about the future of American democracy. The fact that Trump himself seems unfazed by the events of January 6th, that he continues to peddle the lie that the election was stolen from him, only adds to the sense of unease. His refusal to accept the legitimacy of his successor's victory, his insistence that he is the rightful president, is a ticking time bomb, one that threatens to further erode trust in American institutions. Section 8. What comes next? As the sun sets on Trump's second inauguration, a sense of uncertainty hangs in the air. What will the next 4 years hold? Will Trump moderate his tone, seeking to heal the divisions he has sown? Or will he double down on his divisive rhetoric, further polarizing the country? The answer, of course, remains to be seen. But one thing is certain: America is at a crossroads. The choices made in the next 4 years will have profound consequences for generations to come. Will this be a period of renewal and reconciliation, a time when America confronts its demons and emerges stronger on the other side? Or will it be a descent into further division and dysfunction, a period of political and social turmoil that leaves the country weaker and more divided than ever? Section 9. A legacy yet to be written. The story of Donald Trump's second term, like the man himself, is still being written. It is a story full of contradictions and complexities, of soaring highs and crushing lows, a story that will be debated and dissected for decades to come. But one thing is for sure: it is a story that America cannot afford to ignore. For the sake of its future, for the sake of its very soul, America must find a way to move beyond the divisions of the Trump era. The question is, can it? Can a nation so deeply divided find common ground? Can it heal the wounds of the past and build a more perfect union? Only time will tell.